Good evening, everyone. If you don't know who I am, I'm John Holderman. We're going to try and replicate a heart bowl tonight. We're going to talk about the choices of wood that you have and how to choose the right piece of wood, and then we're going to try and turn one and see what it comes out like. I'm going to show you some of the mistakes that we've made across time. So, a couple of things that we look at when we get the wood. This is definitely made from a crotch piece, and I want to thank Charlie here for bringing a perfect crotch piece in. This is one you want to look for. It's going to be a fairly small bowl, but you want to look for one that splits very clean and doesn't have a lot of excess stuff here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. But it's got to split very clean. You want to look for something that has the two branches, when they branch off, that are close to the same diameter. And you want to cut it flat on this side, because before you turn it, you're going to put it on a bandsaw, and it has to set flat like this, and you're going to cut it right down the middle this way. And as an example, this is what I'm doing here. I'll take it like this, and I'll cut it, and I'll have two pieces. And then, this is a perfect example of what won't work. There's a lot of extra here, so that it doesn't split real clean. I probably could have left a little here, but when I found this piece, this was cut already. I didn't have a choice. On the other side, it actually split very well. So I chose that one. So this will become a bowl, but it won't become a heart bowl. And then I have these little round things made out of cardboard, and I'll put it on the piece and kind of figure out where to put it. But I want the top to be high enough in here, you get the two splits. If you put it down here, what you're going to end up with is a flat piece of wood at the top. It's not going to look like a heart. And then I cut it on the bandsaw to look much like this. And then how you mount it on the lathe is a little different. Let's talk about a couple pieces you don't want. This is a branch that has two different sizes. Now, if you're a heart surgeon or you're medical, this may be right because your heart's not symmetrical. But if you're an artist, you want it to be more symmetrical. This is not going to turn out. Also, if you look at it, this branch curves down this way, this branch flips up. It's going to be hard to get a nice piece of wood out of it. So that's one you want to maybe use for something else, make a nice bowl out of it, but won't be a nice symmetric bowl. If you have a piece of wood that has the crack down, I've seen these where you have filler, but the crack goes way down here, but still doesn't go all the way through, you end up with something like that. It's a pretty little bowl, but it looks more like bat wings than it does a bowl, than it does a heart. The one I turned out of, where's my other piece? The other half of this came up kind of hardish, but it didn't have this material was a little thicker here. So it didn't leave a nice clean split here. This one is still rounded, so I don't know if I'm going to get something out of it, but you can be careful with it, and the bark's coming off of that. And I've shown you guys this one before, but this is one of my first ones I tried. I wanted to make a heart for my wife for Valentine. I tried that, and I decided that I just didn't want to give it to her. Wouldn't have sent the message I wanted to give her, so. Don't worry about making mistakes. We all make them. All right. Yeah, there's. If I could, yeah. They're not. That one's not easy to make. The split's a little too long. So when you mount this on the lathe, what you're looking for, when you split this, you notice that it's real thick down here and thin up here. These two pieces have to be flat here. So don't look at it where you normally would where this piece is flat. What you got to be careful of is over here. So you want to set it on the wood and find something that you could kind of judge it. The distance here, that's a little too close. And you want to get these fairly, yeah, see that's, no, this way a little. This is what's going to really define your bowl, is how you get it on the lathe. And that's pretty close. If you're going to err on this being a little that way, we're going to have to take quite a bit of this off here, but that's okay. And what you're going to find is, if you have one of these little pieces, I'm going to show you this here real quick. Let me take this off. What I like is not the standard tailstock end. Cindy Drozda makes these little pieces that go in the one-way piece. They don't fit in the robust, but they make these little, she makes these little pieces. This one has a cup and it has a very small pin in it, but the inside is cupped. So you get the benefit of that small cup, but you also get a benefit of finding that little center. It takes very little wood away when you're trying to turn it around. You don't have to worry about this big center, the piece that comes into one way, poking a deep hole in it, but it gives a very good grip. And I think they're like 60, 70 bucks for a set of 5, and they come in different pieces. But that's like 12 bucks for one of them. That's the most valuable one I've seen for lots of reasons. And the other thing I forgot to tell you is when I do make these, I will draw my line around here, cut on bandsaw, but I also put a little dot right in the center, so I know where the center of this bowl is when I put it on the lathe. And like anything, make sure this is nice and tight. You want to turn it up till you get a little bit of wobble, and then turn it down right about there. And then I just take this, and I'm going to make it round the bottom like I would a regular bowl. That's why you don't turn it out fast. Try and get those teeth in there. Okay. Did that turn, edit, knock it off axis? I think I'm okay. Did it rotate when it stopped? May have a little bit. Yeah, it did. Green wood works real nice with this because it cuts a little easier. This is not that old of wood. I don't know when the tree was felled, but I cut it probably 3 weeks ago. One thing I want to be careful of is not knocking that wood off here, and I've done that, not knocking the bark off. So you want to take as clean as cut as you can. Now I like these longer handles because I can stick a little bit of weight over the edge while not, I don't want to stick it too far, but stick it a little further over the edge than I can with a short-handled gouge. All right, so I've got a fairly clean shape here. Got too much here, so I want to... This is mesquite. Yep. And it does have a little crack. I have to be careful how far that's going down. And I know a lot of people will tell you, you come this way on a bowl. I like cutting the other way. If it's done, if you do it slowly, you can get a nice clean cut. But I can control the shape a lot more this way. I'm going to make my tenon. I'm going to define the rest of my shape. It's going to be a little lopsided heart, but it's going to look okay. Finish my tenon. Now at this point, I would do all the sanding I needed, but before I sand, I'll come in and do a little bit of shear scraping. And with grain wood, you don't have to sand that much. Remember to come all the way through off the bark. Get most of the lines off of it. There, it's on there good now, isn't it? Where you at? There? Which one you at? All right. Trying to figure out which. All right, so that's what it looks like before we turn it. So you can see the heart shape starting to take place. You want to be able to see this before you turn it around. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Get this elbow killer out of here. Now, I like these chucks with the longer jaws. I think the last time Alan Laser was here, he's talked about getting a set, and I got one for my Stronghold, one for my Talons, and I just love them. You can get into the bottom a lot easier. If you have to come back here and dress something up, they're a lot cleaner. You don't have to worry about bumping into there. And I've never really had a problem with them holding. Does this come off, do you know? Yep. Okay. And then this is the same thing you would do with any natural edge bowl. Take a little bit off the center and work your way out. Can you get a picture from the top, Ken? I like to leave some mass here, but what I want to do is I want to define how thick of a bowl or thick of a wall I want. I'm doing that now. So what I'm looking at, I'm looking right down this point here where you can see the tip. I'm going to look right at this point, and I don't know if you can see it on the video, but as I cut, that's defining the thickness of my wall. You can't see it real clear. But that's what I'm following, is that ghost image right out here. And then as I get the wings, what I want, I'll start taking more out of the middle. Then I'll try and sand it, or I'll come back with a fresh edge, grind my, either grind the gouge or usually have a 1/2 inch or a 3/8 inch bowl gouge that I keep sharp. And I'll come back in here and cut my last cut very lightly just to get it cut, just to get a clean surface. All right, and that's the main part. What are we doing? Turn it around and finish it. So that's the main. Well, that doesn't look too symmetric, but it was a little off. But it does. Not like the other one. Oh, you want it this way. So I'm going to clean the back of it up now so we get a clean bowl. And you make a couple decisions at this point. What do you want on the back? Is it a some kind of a foot? Do you want it just a rock on it? Do you want it round? What do you want on the back? So, and it really depends on a couple things. You see this split right here? If that is a crack all the way through, you're going to need to support that before you go any further. This one doesn't look like it's all the way through. It does have some support. But as I take some of this off, it may split on us. So I'll be real careful. But you want to, see I'm hoping I have enough point there. But what kind of end do you really want on this? What kind of what is this going to set? Is it going to rock, or is it going to have a flat surface? What do you want on it is the kind of decision you have to make now. And I'm just going to clean this up. I always put a dimple in these. When I found out that I don't, the bottom rides on there, and it usually indents a piece on the bowl. So I've learned to put a little dimple in the middle so it only rides on that little outer surface. Now I'm going to have to bring this piece back up. That went on very smooth. Wasn't expecting that. How are we doing on time? How are we doing on time? Oh, we got plenty of time. One of the things I like to do is, when I'm turning the bowl, I didn't tell you about, I like to leave, I don't want to cut that all the way off, this piece here. I want to leave that on, because when I put this back on the, turn it around, that's how I'm going to center it and get me real close to center. I'm not going to tighten it up just yet. We have a see if that marked it. What I normally do is put a pencil mark in there. So when it goes around, you'll see the high spot, and you can make your adjustments. There's a little mark there. Some of it you're just going to have to live with because it is green wood, right? So get it as close as I can, and then just deal with it. faster you turn it up, the less it makes a difference. Go back to my other. Then I'm going to come here and just, well, guess what? There was a crack all the way through. One more reason you don't turn it up real fast. Yeah, the story of my life, right? Yeah. So now everybody in the club knows I have a broken heart. We're going to finish it anyway. That's right. And I'm going to take this real light because since I only have half a heart here, look at the good side. Now we can see my wall thickness all the way through. And all I'm doing is I'm going to make a fairly round bottom on this one. That's a thought. The problem with that is, where's the other half go? Oh. So the other half still has half a bottom to it. Now I know why Woodcraft and Woodworld are still in business. All right. So one of the things how do you get this off? How do you get that bottom clean? See if I can keep this on while I'm doing this. I'll keep whittling this down until I get to a certain point, and use this as a scraper, clean. And at this point, I would make sure I'm all sanded as close to that as I can get, and then turn it off, finish it. And I've only got that little piece to sand. And my heart go back together. There we go. And there is a heart bowl. Half heart. That didn't turn out too bad if you look at the kind of high on one side. Hearts aren't symmetrical, so it really depends, but it needs to look like a heart. Some of these just don't look like a heart. You get the wrong piece of wood, it doesn't work out right. But I'm hoping it gave you enough information today to go out and try it. Some of these pieces that the crotchwood people throw away, there's really good things you can make out of wood pieces of wood that people don't really want. So try it, see what you can come up with it. And that's what I have for this evening. All right.